Welcome along to the session. For those who don't know me, I'm Steve Young. I look after Asia Pacific, and I'm going to give you an introduction into the sales area for Net Dimensions across Asia Pacific, who we are and what we do, and our plans for 2016 in the event of growing more business. So just to let you know, when people say, who are the salespeople? I guess you don't get to see much of them around, or what we tend to do. All you know is that we're out there trying to make sure people buy the wonderful tools that everybody makes and markets. So just to let you know, it depends on who you ask who salespeople are. If you ask the salespeople, we tend to consider ourselves along the same area as these guys. However, if you tend to ask the engineering, support, finance, help desk, or anybody else in the company, they probably see us a little bit more like this, where we're considering always talking to clients, and the client feedback is that they always want more out of the product, or they want something different. So we seem to be the demanding people, asking these questions all the time. But realistically, all we're doing is listening to what the market looks for and then asking for people to respond. So we could be seen as this type of small crying child. Our job mainly is to increase the revenue for the company, and that is our main focus. We must focus on revenue generating activities. We must sell things, and we must sell them without costing the company a lot of money. So there's a bit of a balance between what we sell and what the cost of selling it is, to make sure we all make a profit and keep Net Dimensions moving. So that's really, in a nutshell, what we do. So the people that do those activities within Asia Pacific is myself. We have Bruce, who's an account executive in Sydney. His role is very much to face-to-face with clients and sell. We have April in Manila, who does a fantastic job of supporting us as a relationship manager. So her role is mainly to look at clients that have already been signed and look for new opportunities and new revenue and make sure that the clients are quite happy. And then we have Kerry in Manila, and Kerry's role is actually a bit of a finder. Kerry is to go out and find people for us to talk to so that we can sell these wonderful products. So a small team, and in this very, very small team, I'm not sure if you understand the region for Asia Pacific. So on a map it looks like that, and we cover everything in the blue, including all the way down to New Zealand and as far as China. But on the map it doesn't really look all that big. If we take this into a little bit more context, that's just Australia and all of the areas that would cover. So if we covered this 3 times the size of Australia, you can pretty much see that our region is quite large, and we're across a lot of diverse cultures. So we have to be able to deal with different cultures and different ways that people do business. So it is a challenge. It's a great challenge. And to date we've been okay, but we'd like to see 2016 be a hell of a lot better. So just to cover off on some things that we did do in 2015. That was our revenue area. We made close to 1.5, 1.6 million on a target of about 1.8. So we were lower on our target, and we need to address that. But more importantly, most of our business came from what we call renewal business, and that's clients we already have. That business is important to us. We have to maintain as much of that business as absolutely possible, and that's why we need people to support us in a role of sales. I think everybody's in sales in Net Dimensions, purely because we have clients that exist. An area that we really do have to grow is our new business and our upsells. So that's going to be our focus for 2016, is to try and get more clients that generate more revenue. Just to let you know where it all comes from in percentage-wise, though. I mean, having 63% of your business as renewals is nice, but when only 10% of it is new business, that's an area where we really have to address and move it along a little bit better. So our focus in 2016 will be to grow new business and new business value. It's no good having lots of new clients that don't amount to much revenue. So what do we have to look at for 2016? And we've been asked to set some goals, and we'll be measured on these goals. So what we have done is place together a few goals, and our goals have to be centered around dealing with high consequence industries. And if you're not sure what a high consequence industry is, everybody should be familiar with the website now, but I crudely call it if something goes wrong, someone dies, someone goes to jail, or someone has to pay a lot of money. So that's where we need to focus, really on high consequence. So for goal number one, we've really placed that we're going to look at the life sciences and the biomedical type people. We have great stories to tell with these. We've got a few industries on board, so we believe that if we target these ones, if we can look at making at least one or two new biomedical type clients per month, per quarter, we should get between 8 and 12 new biomedical or biosciences clients, which are high revenue clients. They're not concerned so much about the license price because they're highly regulated. We've got very good resources in the company, such as the guys out of EMEA who have done a lot of these type installations. So we have everything in-house to achieve these targets, and we'll monitor these targets every quarter. If we miss one quarter, we'll have to take it up in the next quarter. So our aim is to have between 8 and 10 life sciences clients this year. Big stretch, but not unachievable. The other area again is manufacturing. So once again, it's a highly regulated area, known as GMP or good manufacturing practices. Everything they do is around standard operating procedures, and Net Dimensions Talent Suite runs standard operating procedures and the revisioning of that very well, better than most in other LMS companies. So again, I think the manufacturing industry is probably a little tougher due to cost constraints, but we should be able to pick up between 1 and 2 of these clients every quarter. That's our goal, which will bring you somewhere 4 to 6 manufacturing clients into APAC. So now we've already looked at something where we're about 14 to 16 new clients already that we said that we'd bring in these 2 areas. Again, we have a lot of knowledge in the company, so we need to draw on that knowledge. And again, we will monitor these each quarter as our part of our SMART goals. If we miss one quarter, we'll have to pick it up on the next one. So we'll be managed by the sales, and we'll be judged by the sales in these areas. Number 3 is to move out and go into a territory that we don't exist right now, and that's Japan. And Jay and Matthew have already put some consultants on board to go and find a reseller in Japan. It's expensive to run your own office, but to run a reseller is a little better, and they have local knowledge. So we've already engaged the consultants. We would hope that the search for suitable partners would be done before the 1st or 2nd week in February. Probably select them and have them up and trained in the 1st quarter. I wouldn't expect that we'd get a sale from them in the first half year, but we would expect by the end of the year to have at least 1 or 2. One of the reasons why Japan is important, they have a lot of manufacturing and they have a lot of life sciences and biomedical companies. So for us, entry into Japan is going to be not only important but strategic as we look at the industries that we're looking at. Number 4 for our goal is, I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but we do have some content providers. So we have Sagos, which we've had now for a year, and it's been quite dormant. We need to put the resources to sell or package content to our existing clients. So we need to upsell. So we would look to upsell Sagos content, which is generic career-based content, things like management skills. And then we have Thomson Reuters, who do a lot of content around security and financial regulation. So 2 areas to upsell there. We need to start to look at other Net Dimensions products, such as analytics, and bringing analytics into the more complex clients so that they have in-depth reporting around their existing implementations. And then if we have a client that's on Net Dimensions e-learning, we need to start moving them through the cycle so that they come up to learning and then ultimately performance. If they're in learning, we need to move them to performance. So this is going to be charged for the relationship managers to start discussing with our existing clients and start targeting some of these clients and move them along. And again, we've put an upsell target of at least, you know, one client per month to sell something new to them. And out of about 30 direct clients in APAC, I don't think it's an impossible task. The number 5 that I looked at was actually not a lot to do with generating revenue, but generating our name out in the marketplace. We all run, you know, a very tight marketing budget, and that gets us aware in somewhere. But we need to also be looking at our areas of LinkedIn. Most of us salespeople are in LinkedIn, so we need to start presenting Net Dimensions information to our own LinkedIn networks and bringing that network out a bit further. Some of us always have Twitter accounts. I have to admit I don't understand Twitter at all, and I'm hoping the communications boss in Net Dimensions can teach me a little bit more about Twitter. And then also internal communications. We have Jive, and it's pretty well dormant right now. So we need to start communicating internally as well so that everybody understands what we're doing globally in Net Dimensions. So for this one, I've made the APAC group, they must actually post something on LinkedIn at least once a month. They must post something out to a Twitter account at least once a month. And they must constantly update Jive. There must be an active Jive person in order to meet this goal. So we'll measure it by the postings they've done internally on Jive, and we'll measure it by seeing the postings in LinkedIn and Twitter if they're on Twitter. So it's up to us to get our name out there into the network, and particularly in high consequence and compliance areas. So again, a goal that's not so much of a stretch, doesn't look to generate any direct revenue, but it does look to get our name out a bit further than the effort that we're currently doing. And then that's the end of the presentation. So if there are any further questions, now's the time to post them.